last I have found my one true love, not here on earth, but high above this proud vain sphere of greed and vice, where men seek peace, yet fear the price. Her hair is sun silver with a wisp of cloud. Of her pure blue cloak she is justly proud. Her jewelry is simple and splendid in one, for she wears in the day only this, the sun. But at night it is different, more gorgeous by far. She comes forth to meet me with the evening star, with twinkling diamonds on a soft velvet gown, and breath as gentle as feathery down. So hop aboard and come with me up to my love, and you will see. I will show you beauty, splendor, grace, her thrilling smile, her enchanting face. But first there are things you have to do. You must have powers held by few, to feel with your soul and see with your mind. These are needed, my love, to find. And if you see her and know her as I, you too will lose your heart in the sky.
In World War II, no operation was more hazardous than the aerial lifeline from India to southwest China over the Himalaya mountains. The hump was the only way of getting vital supplies to the Allies. Terrible weather, ice on the wings, rugged terrain, and enemy fighters took a toll on the crews that flew the hump. About 1,000 died and nearly 600 aircraft were lost. It was a human and technical challenge. Aeronautical charts were unreliable and weather information was virtually nil. The planes had to cross one mountain chain after another. The passes were 14,000 feet high, flanked by peaks rising to over 16,000. Winds exceeded 100 miles an hour, with updrafts over the ridges and downdrafts over the valleys. Planes caught in a downdraft could drop at the rate of 5,000 feet per minute, then suddenly be whisked upward at almost the same rate of ascension. Turbulence could flip an aircraft over on its back in midair. Icing was a problem above 12,000 feet, and wings were sometimes bent or warped from the buildup of ice. It was an exceptionally dangerous place to fly. The pilots wore a message in Chinese on the backs of their flight jackets, offering a reward to anyone finding a downed pilot. A standard tour for hump pilots was 650 flying hours, or about 60 to 80 round trips, assuming that the pilot survived. Don Black flew more than twice that number of hours, including 250 missions over the hump, setting records both for monthly hours and total number of missions. Flying both the Douglas C-47 and Curtiss C-46 cargo transports, Don not only flew the hump, he flew many search and rescue missions over Burma, too. He was personally awarded 3 Distinguished Flying Crosses and 3 Air Medals. His units received 3 Presidential Unit citations.
I flew 21 combat missions, which is more than anybody else had ever done. The commanding officer of the China-Burma-India Theater sent a letter to the colonel in charge of the base I was stationed at, and I read the letter, and it said, if it ever comes to my attention again that anybody flies that many missions in 1 month, there's going to be a change in the management of the base. And he just laughed.
Shortly after setting the record with 21 flights over the hump in 1 month, Don got horribly sick. Doctors were unable to figure out what was causing his constant upset stomach and vomiting. He was forced to quit flying. Back in the USA, doctors still were unable to put a diagnosis on Don's condition. Unable to fly, Don decided to go back to college on the GI Bill at the University of Michigan in aeronautical engineering. After graduating, he worked at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft for 30 years, all this time unable to find a cure, much less a diagnosis for his stomach condition. His career at McDonnell Douglas culminated with him being promoted to Vice President Deputy General Manager. Then, after 36 years, physicians finally pinpointed his stomach ailment as a disease contracted from eating Chinese food that had been grown using human waste as fertilizer. They came up with a medicine, and within 2 weeks of taking it, Don was better. However, the idea of flying again was far behind him. After a short stint of being in business for himself, Don embarked on the greatest mission of his life, working with the homeless.
One night God took me to a place I didn't know was there, a shelter for the homeless. 40 people on the floor, sad and lonely people, a rubber mat and blanket that was their bed. At that moment, in that place, God changed my life for me, completely, totally, in a way He set me free. So thank you, God, for this partnership, blessedly with you. Now, no matter how long I live, I think I shall never die, for my life will go on and on in the homeless people that I knew.
Trying to describe this man in a 2-minute snippet, I don't really think is possible. When I think about Don Black, I think about, just a pure encapsulation of kindness and generosity and faith in people, faith in God. He gives more than he's got in him, and somehow manages to find a little bit more, and I think, when we lose him, we're going to be losing a whole hell of a lot. That's all I got.
Is probably the most generous person I've ever met. He has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on homeless people, especially women with mental disabilities. And he last year one time had 18 women in hotels at the same time. But the most important thing is there's only one thing that can be said about this man, is that he is the most and the only version of unconditional love.
Don Black? Well, Don Black has come in our thrift shop many times helping many homeless people who have been in dire need of his help. He's always open arm, open wallet, helping. He's available by phone. I have many homeless people that have come in and asked for me to call him, and he's either he answers the phone or he calls them back almost immediately. And he's an angel. He definitely has his wings, and he has a halo above that
I
hat.
started my outreach ministry 14 years ago at the age of 76. Since that time, I've devoted full time to helping the homeless of Laguna Beach and the local area. I devote 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, to my ministry. Each day includes the following type of activities. 1, providing transportation of about 200 miles a week in my car to take people to such things as job interviews and jobs, appointments with social agencies, court appearances, release from jails, hospitals, especially late-night discharges, campsites and other temporary housing, DMV to obtain identification documents, detox facilities, and so forth. 2, paying for hotel accommodations for critical and emergency cases. 3, buying prescribed medications for those without medical insurance. That is, most of the people I work with. 4, paying rental costs for sober living homes until the individual can find a job. 5, purchasing transportation tickets on bus, train, or airline to allow individuals to rejoin their families anywhere in the United States. After taking as much time as needed to build a relationship of trust and caring, I encourage individuals to reflect on their problems and desires for a better life. We work together to make and document an individual plan. Then I provide support and encouragement as they begin to take steps to implement their plan. I believe in each person I work with, and I try to be the presence of God's unconditional love in each interchange we have. When a person is treated with the fundamental dignity they deserve, they begin to be able to receive love and eventually are able to risk loving themselves again, or maybe for the first time in their lives. When someone asks why I am doing this, I tell them it is because God loves them, and so do I. I expect to continue with this mission as long as I'm physically and mentally able.
He's friendly. He's barely a year old. There you go. Honey, don't worry. It's just Don, okay?
If he runs off, gets lost.
During the winter when it was raining, Don opened the shelter for us so we could stay up there at St. Mary's.
He takes care of us. He makes it so I don't have to sleep in the rain and wet and freeze on a real bad night. And God bless St. Mary's. I'm Catholic boy too.
God bless Rector Elizabeth.
What he said.
Yeah.
There's no work, and some of these people are in construction. And we eat here and then we go over there, but he gives us shelter.
Is that rascal knows how to preach without using his mouth, and that's one of the things that I love the most about him.
And I'm going to tell you something from my heart. This guy right here, he's a saint. Oh, yeah. No. He's one of the few that's reserved a table up with the big guys. I'm talking Buddha, Jesus, Gandhi, all of them. Yep. And I'll be, if I'm even lucky, to sit there and have a sentence with those gentlemen, or that'd be everything.
Why do you say?
Oh, man. When I was down and out several times, Don was there. I mean, there. When I thought I was going to die, when I was lonely, when I needed somebody to look up to and talk to, when I needed help with like my birth certificate, my ID, he's just there. When I was shaking so bad, and this is not a great thing, but people don't understand this. Don does. He's learning through us on the streets. Right. When I was so sick and I couldn't get into a rehab because, you had to wait. The guy that was interviewing me was saying, this guy is having seizures, he's gonna die. So he made Don beer me down. It was it wasn't like party time. He saved my life by doing that until I could get into the program, and I eventually did. Yep. And it was a great program, Pomona House, I think. You kidding
He's
me?
the guy to go into battle
yeah.
with. I feel comfortable with that.
Absolutely, because I know we're doing something.
Now, if I had to go into
that's
battle with
worth
this
something.
guy, I don't know about that.
Yeah, me neither. If I'm going dancing, I'm going with this guy. So boy, I tell you, he's a dancer.
God bless you.
He's a dancer, man. See, us guys out here, we're full of life.
So,
we're full of life.
anyways, Don has a lot of, there's good and bad in everybody, but Don has more good qualities than ever there would be bad. So.
What about the bad qualities in
I
Don
haven't
Black?
seen it.
Yeah, sometimes he takes his hat off. It's kind of scary.
And sometimes,
What? So we told him to put his hat back. See, I told you.
yeah, you gotta put the hat
But that's
back.
the only bad part.
Heartbeat.
His bad qualities are the world's best qualities. How's that?
There you go. Wow,
There you go.
that was well said. You make sure.
I would say more men should aspire to be like you so that I can find a good guy one day. And he's already taken.
Yeah.
All right, Joan, what's it like living with this guy, Don Black?
I would say it's my greatest adventure. Don is probably the most accepting and open-minded guy I've ever met. I mean, he's bright and he's interested in life, and he's very accepting of people as they are. In fact, I was really impressed with the way he was accepting of women in the workplace. When I knew him in that venue, he seems to be able to see potential in people and see past the surface into people's possibilities, and brings that out. I think he has a way of bringing the best out in people, and he certainly has done that for me.
Because of the use of the word homeless, most people interpret the fact that if you give them a place to sleep, you've taken care of the problem, which is not the case. And I found out very early that that is not the most important thing to do. The most important thing is to find out on an individual basis why a person is homeless, and then help them to correct those problems. And as a result of getting rid of the causes, you get rid of the person being homeless. And it's worked. It works. It's worked. I've taken 65 people at least off the streets just by that one simple method. But you got to work at it. But if I did 60, if I had 20 more people working with me, there wouldn't be any homeless left in Laguna Beach, which would achieve the goals of the city if they would just listen to me.
Myths about homelessness. Myth. Homeless people are just lazy. They don't want to work. They're just looking for a free handout. Truth. A storm of bad luck can happen to anyone. When it happens to someone with no safety net or family to fall back on, the result can be homelessness. It's difficult to climb out of the pit of homelessness without help. It's as if the lowest rungs of the ladder out of the pit are missing. Myth. Providing food and clothes to the homeless only enables them and encourages them to stay homeless. Truth. Immediate needs like food and shelter must be taken care of before a homeless person can begin to consider the problems that made them homeless in the first place. Myth. Providing food and clothes to the homeless in Laguna Beach attracts more homeless to move here. Truth. According to our records, the size of the Laguna's homeless population has not significantly increased in the past 10 years. Myth. All homeless individuals are the same. There's probably one solution to end homelessness. Truth. There are as many causes of homelessness as there are homeless people. Each homeless person faces a unique set of problems, and each problem requires a solution suited to that person. Myth. The only thing a homeless person needs is housing. Truth. Shelter is not always the single most pressing need of a homeless person. It could be medical or dental care, the handling of legal matters, or the need for a rehab. It's necessary to determine what has caused someone's homelessness, to determine their most urgent need. Don Black has a dream. His dream is that volunteers will come forward and offer to help. He has proven that a one-on-one buddy system works in conjunction with feeding and housing the homeless. Shelters alone are not enough. Dedicated volunteers are needed to help the homeless in solving the problems that have made them homeless in the first place. You could be a volunteer that makes that difference and helps a homeless person get off the street and on his way to a better life. Don's Volunteer Buddy Program has 3 parts. A team of buddy volunteers is needed to work one-on-one with the homeless. Also, an online database of local and county resources is needed to help the homeless solve their problems. And finally, a training program is needed for the volunteers in the buddy program.
I became involved in feeding the homeless after the homeless shelter was built in the canyon, and it is really a joyous experience. The same thing that Don Black had told me once. He said, Tony, I was an executive in the aerospace industry. I played golf, I went on cruises. He says, but since I've been devoting my life to the homeless, I've never been happier. I'm with God every day, and I'm truly blessed.
To select this, find this 1.5% of the United States population roaming the streets, isolated, not together as a single group, individuals, and then approach it not on 80% of a nation needs help, but this poor person walking along the beach, downcast, sad, doesn't know where they're going or why, to help them out of the pit they're in. Just that one simple thing, one person out of 300 million. That's an opportunity.
A sincere thank you to all who made this film possible, and to all the volunteers who continue to work countless hours preparing meals and serving the homeless in Laguna. Even though so much more is needed, your contribution and dedication cannot be overlooked. It is crucial and greatly appreciated. Thank you.